The Glass of Peace, a story of mindfulness. Once upon a time, nestled in a small, modest village surrounded by towering, majestic mountains, there lived a 24-year-old young man named Marco. To the outside observer, Marco looked like any other young man, but inside he was fighting a constant battle. Marco was incredibly restless. His mind was never quiet. It was a chaotic storm of endless thoughts. From the moment he woke up until the moment he tried to sleep, thoughts would race through his head without a pause. He felt a heavy burden of sadness regarding his past mistakes and an overwhelming anxiety about what the future might hold. Because of this relentless mental noise, his mind felt like a hurricane that never calmed down. He could not feel true tranquility. He tossed and turned through sleepless nights, and he had even forgotten the simple joy of smiling. He was physically present, but mentally he was always somewhere else, trapped in yesterday or worried about tomorrow. One day, a glimmer of hope appeared. Marco heard a rumor about a remote village situated high up in the misty hills. People spoke in hushed, respectful tones about a wise old man who lived there. It was said that this man used to be a famous and highly successful psychologist in the big city. He had spent his career studying the human mind and helping thousands of people find clarity. However, as he grew older, he had left the noise and rush of the city behind to live a simple, solitary life close to nature. Driven by curiosity and a desperate need for relief, Marco decided he had to meet him. Maybe, he thought with a spark of hope, this wise man understands the storm in my head. Maybe he can teach me how to find the silence I crave. The journey was not easy. After several days of traveling through rugged paths and steep trails, tired and dusty, Marco finally reached the village in the hills. The air here was thinner and cleaner. He found the old man's home, a humble, small cottage, almost completely covered in vibrant green ivy and blooming flowers. On the wooden porch of the house, the old man was sitting in a meditative posture. His eyes were closed, his breathing was slow, and he radiated an aura of profound stillness. Marco approached him hesitantly and whispered, "Grandfather?" The old man slowly opened his eyes, which were clear and kind. Marco poured out his heart. "Grandfather, my mind is a mess. It is very restless. I cannot stop overthinking no matter how hard I try. I'm exhausted by my own thoughts. I want peace in my heart. Please, can you help me?" The old man looked at Marco with a gentle, knowing smile. He stood up slowly and said, "So you are looking for peace? I can help you, but first you must do a task for me." He led Marco to the small yard behind the cottage. The old man picked up a glass and filled it with water from a clay pot. He filled it until the water reached the very brim. The surface tension was the only thing keeping the water from flowing over. The glass was so full that even a slight tremble of the hand would cause a spill. Handing the glass to Marco, the old man said sternly, "I want you to walk from here to the edge of the village and then come back to me. But listen carefully. You must not spill even a single drop of water. If you spill, you fail." Marco looked at the glass with wide eyes. It seemed like an impossible task, but he was determined. He accepted the challenge. He gripped the glass with both hands, his focus narrowing down to the trembling water. He began to walk. The road through the village was narrow and chaotic. It was the busiest time of the day. There were children running and screaming in play, shopkeepers shouting out their prices to attract customers, and stray dogs barking loudly at passers-by. The ground was uneven, making every step a risk. However, Marco did not look around. He did not look at the sky, the people, or the shops. His entire existence, his whole universe, shrank down to that single glass of water. He watched the water level intently, adjusting his balance with every step. He walked slowly, deliberately, step by step, breathing steadily. People in the village stared at him, wondering why this stranger was walking so strangely with a glass of water, but Marco didn't even notice them. He was locked in a state of hyper-focus. After what felt like an eternity, Marco returned to the porch where the old man was waiting. His hands were steady. "Grandfather, I did it!" Marco exclaimed, his voice filled with relief and pride. "I walked to the edge and back, and look, I didn't spill even one drop." The old man nodded appreciatively and smiled. "That is very good, Marco, you have done well, but tell me something." The old man leaned in closer. "Did you see the children playing tag on the side of the road? Did you hear the shopkeepers arguing? Did you hear the dogs barking at your heels?" Marco blinked, confused by the question. He thought back to his walk. "No," he admitted honestly. "I didn't see the children. I didn't hear the dogs or the people. I didn't notice anything. I was only focusing on the glass. I was terrified of spilling the water." The old man's smile widened, and he placed a hand on Marco's shoulder. "That, my son, is the secret. That is the answer you traveled all this way to find." Marco looked puzzled, so the old man explained. "You see, the noise of the village was there, the problems were there, the chaos was there, but you did not hear it. Why? Because your mind was 100% focused on the glass in your hands." When your mind stays fully in the present moment, focused on the task right in front of you, there is no space for fear. There is no room for the ghosts of the past and no space for anxiety about the future. The old man continued, his voice soothing like a river. "During your walk, you were not sad about what happened years ago. You were not worried about what will happen next year. You were just here, with the water, and in that focus, your mind became completely quiet." Slowly, the realization washed over Marco. He understood. The peace he was searching for wasn't a magical place or a destination. It was a state of mind. Peace is not found outside of us. It is already inside us, waiting to be accessed when we stop engaging with the noise and start living in the now. Marco bowed his head deeply in gratitude. "Grandfather, now I understand. To calm the storm, I don't need to fight the wind. I just need to focus on the step I am taking right now. Real peace comes when I empty my mind of then and later and simply exist in now." The old man smiled one last time as the sun began to set behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The last light of the day touched the ground and birds began flying back to their nests. Marco turned and started his journey back home, but he was no longer the same restless young man who had arrived days ago. He walked with a lighter step. The world was still noisy, but inside him there was a new-found silence. He had learned the lesson of the glass. Keep your focus on the present, and the mind will settle. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and share it with friends who might need a little peace in their lives. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring tales. Until next time, stay well, stay present, and empty your mind.